Hi, I'm Kylie Hansen, an incoming freshman at MIT who is accepted into Harvard, MIT, Stanford, and Caltech. And I'm here at Twin Falls High School, my high school, to talk to you about things like getting accepted early into colleges, regular action, early decision, all those kinds of terms, what it means, how it can help you, how it can increase your chances into getting into good colleges, and all of that jazz. Let's get started. Let's first talk about the terms so that we know what we're talking about. So there are two types of admissions into colleges. There's the early admissions and then there's normal regular decisions. And so the early decisions happen in the fall, where you submit your application early, so to speak, to one or more colleges, and they let you know if you've been accepted early or not. That kind of gets the tension off. Usually that's what people do it for, or if they have a specific school they really want to, they think it's like two chances, like you apply in the fall, and if you don't get accepted, you apply in the winter again. So there are multiple reasons people would want to try and be accepted early, whether it's being the stress off or they want two chances, but what a lot of people kind of think they know, or maybe they don't know, I don't know, is that applying early can help you increase your chances of getting into the school if you use it right. So let's go over that. There are three different types, of different early application processes. So the first one that I'm going to go over is called early action. So early action is when a school actually allows you to apply early. There are no other sort of hooks with it. Basically, you apply early, you can apply to multiple colleges early, so they don't hook you into it. They don't require you to only apply to them, and there's basically no commitment to it either. You could totally just reject them even if you get accepted. And so like the second one is called restricted early action, where you're only allowed to apply to that school early. And then the third one is called early decision, where you're supposed to go to the school if you get accepted into it. So I can give you some examples for those kinds of different schools. For early action, where there are no requirements, schools like MIT, Caltech are very popular options. For restricted early action, where you can only apply to that school, Harvard is a very popular option for that. And for early decision, Brown is usually the example that people use for early decision. So those are the three types of early applications. And depending on which one you do, it can give you increased benefits. So I did early action because I really wanted to go to MIT. But early action doesn't really give you any benefits because it doesn't lock you in. And the whole reasoning behind getting some benefit out of this is that colleges want a really high yield rate, which means that for the people who they accept, they want a really high percentage of them to actually attend that college. So by locking you in or something like that, it basically increases your chances because they know that you're going to attend and they want their higher yield rate, so it helps them like that. So for restricted early action, even though it doesn't lock you in, it still gives you benefits because it shows them that, yes, they are the school of your top choice. It's basically guaranteeing to them that you are really interested in them in that college as your top choice. So that shows that most likely you'll go there if they accept you early. But for colleges like that, sometimes they don't want to guarantee you a spot, and so that's why it's restricted early action, so you can still decline them. So that's why schools like Harvard do that. For early decision, that obviously gives you the most benefit out of it because you're required to go there, and like I said before, the yield is the whole purpose behind this benefit. And so by locking you in, they increase their yield, and so you have the biggest benefit for that. And so that's why colleges like, I think Chicago does this or something like that, but colleges like that, they have really high yield rates, and so that increases their rankings on certain college ranking publications and things like that. So they really like that kind of stuff. So let's talk about why you would want to do one of these three options. And so I'll start with my story. I was an early action applicant. I applied to MIT and Caltech early. And I didn't do the other two because MIT was my top choice school by far. So I really wanted to go there. And so I didn't want to be restricted. And I didn't want to have to commit to a school if it accepted me like Brown, so I applied to MIT early as kind of like a way to relieve the stress of the whole application process if I was accepted early. And I was, and it was successful. So stories like that are very nice, and so I'm really grateful to MIT for accepting me early, and so that really helped me. But if you're really nervous about getting accepted into a school, then applying restricted early action or early decision would be really beneficial for you because it would increase your odds of that kind of thing. So if you really want to go to a school that has one of those options, then that's really nice for you, obviously, because it helps you with that kind of regard. Like, I had a friend who really wanted to go to Brown for their medical program. And so that restricted early decision, that early decision really helped her because she applied early and she was fine being locked into Brown because that was her top school. Yeah. So if you're kind of debating between a couple schools and one of them has early decision and one of them has like restricted early action, then I would kind of consider which, if you have somewhere, like if one of them is higher on your priorities list, and if one of them isn't, if they're totally equal, like you would be fine living in both places and you'd be fine going to either schools, then pick the one that has early decision, because that will give you the most boost, and so you should obviously take advantage of that. Same thing if you have two choices between restricted early action and regular early action, just normal. I would go with the one that's restricted because that gives you some benefits, whereas early action doesn't. So keep those in mind as you go about your college application process. If you're still deciding, you can kind of use this categorization to kind of tell you something about the school. So for example, for schools like Caltech and MIT who do only early action, it kind of tells you that they don't necessarily care about that kind of thing. They want the people who they're interested in, and that's it. Like, they aren't looking for the rankings and that kind of thing with their yield. You know, they know that people are going to attend because of the opportunities that they present, and so they're looking for the students who care about MIT and Caltech enough to just apply early, or they want to take the risk, that kind of thing. They don't necessarily offer the benefit of applying early, they just want to see who's interested. So you kind of get the feeling of the school just from what kind of early options that they have. Maybe the school doesn't have early options and they want to see everybody in one pool. I don't know. Maybe the school has early decision and they really want the people who are really interested in them, and that's it. I don't know. But the rule is like, it gives you a feeling of the school. And so you can kind of use that to see, is this kind of a place that I really want to be in? So just use that as kind of another one of your tools in figuring out where you want to go to college. Because, you know, ultimately everybody says, like, you need to go to the place that you feel most confident, right? Because you're going to be living there for 4 years. So you should take that into consideration too. Hey, thanks for watching, and I'll catch you next week.